We are now approaching our section B questions. So now the question reads, prophets in Israel with the political origins discussed. Are we together? Saga, this question, first and foremost, you must know that this question have already sidelined that prophets have originated in Israel. Why? Because the prophets in Israel now the representatives of the Israelites politically, and above all it is said that he led the Israelites for 40 years in the wilderness. So the theory is basing on the fact that Moses have controlled, or Moses have managed to be the leader of the Israelites in Israel for 40 years until they have reached Canaan. So the political origins is in the fact that the Israelites, they have been liberated from captivity, and above all they were origins. Furthermore, despite the political theory, we can take note of the kingship theory. The kingship theory is based on 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 1 and the following, where we observe Samuel anointed Saul as the first king of Israel. Now approaching our section B questions. So now the question reads, prophets in Israel with the political origins discussed. Are we together? Saga, this question, first and foremost, you must know that this question have already sidelined that prophets have originated in Israel. Why? Because the prophets in Israel had political origins. It means that prophets have originated in Israel, and it is much more based on political issues rather than either social or economic whatsoever. So discuss, Tagati discuss, it means we are arguing for and against. So we say the question demands candidates to agree on the fact that prophets originated in Israel in relation to political perspectives. Prophets originated in Israel with relation to political perspectives. In relation to political perspectives. However, good candidates can include social or religious perceptions. Good candidates can include religious or social perspectives. Social or religious perspectives as part of the cause for the origins of prophets in Israel. With relation to the origins of prophets in Israel. So Tiri Babu, we want to look or to analyze how can we evaluate the fact that prophets have originated in Israel. So basing on political theory, the political theory according to Bishao and Mazodze and other scholars, they would like to say prophets in Israel have political origins, basing on the fact that according to Exodus chapter 3 verse 1 and the following, Moses was instructed by Yahweh to go and liberate the Israelites out of yoke of bondage, whereby Moses now in this case was facing Pharaoh, a conflict with Pharaoh, whereby he was now the representatives of the Israelites politically, and above all it is said that he led the Israelites for 40 years in the wilderness. So the theory is basing on the fact that Moses have controlled, or Moses have managed to be the leader of the Israelites in Israel for 40 years until they have reached Canaan. So the political origins is in the fact that the Israelites, they have been liberated from captivity, And above all, they were considering Moses as their first leader. Andika saka nyaya iri pakuti Moses ndiye akatumwa naMwari according to Exodus chapter 3 kuti enda unoliberate maIsraelites. Moses akakwanisa kutungamira maIsraelites for 40 years. Andika endevo vaitobhiliva kuti uyu ndiye chi leader wedu. Vabva ipapo Moses adaro ndiye akaita kuti maIsraelites vabude mucaptivity. Kuti maIsraelites azonzi awana freedom, awana Canaan, akwanisa kuestablisha inyaya yekuti vaitungamirirwa nani naMoses. Saka ndo pari kubva kuti prophets in Israel are linked to political origins. Furthermore, despite the political theory, we can take note of the kingship theory. The kingship theory is based on 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 1 and the following, where we observe Samuel anointed Saul as the first king of Israel. According to E.M. Cross as a scholar, he states that Israel was transformed from being a tribal monarchy into a kingship monarchy. That's where we link the name kingship. Kingship is related to politics, whereby the political institutions of Israel were now within the hands of a single leader, that is Saul. Saka ndosaka tukuti prophecy in Israel yakatanga nani na Samuel, and yatanga na Samuel yava linked to politics. Tauranaka. Then to by Bible to end up Abrahamic theory. According to Abrahamic theory, it is based on Genesis chapter 10. According to Genesis chapter 10, Abraham was instructed by Yahweh through a dream, or some they say through a vision, to leave the land of his forefathers into another new land where he was going to establish the land which was known as Canaan or Israel. And this land, it was going to be for himself and his grandchildren. Saka nenyaya yekuti Abraham akabvuma kubva kudzinza ramadzibaba wake achinogadzira a new land, we have got political origins. Why we are basing on political origins? Because starting something new, kutanga nyika nyowani uri we leader yao, uri we forefather. According to the Israelites, they consider Abraham as their patriarch, who have originated their country. Saka nenyaya yekuti ndiye akaoriginate, ndiye akainstitute, ndiye akaita macovenants. Andika ekuti even the Israelites vanga vakuwafollow ndiye akaita se. Saka prophecy in Israel ine political origins nekuti kuti iyo ito originate kunzinzi yavapo, it was upon the flesh of Abraham. Because ane wakanzwa kuti Abraham was circumcised according to, it should be Genesis chapter 12 if I'm not mistaken. Akatonzi iwo kukucircumcise kwatiri kuita kuitira kuti kurasa kwawaita ropa imaki yekuti iwewe uri kubvuma kuti vanhu vese vachazotera mumashure mako, they must be circumcised, zvoratidza kuti zveshuwa vari kubvuma kuti maIsraelites and the land belong to them. Handiti then tapedza ipapo toenda patransformational theory. Transformational theory is also based on 1 Samuel chapter 10. It is said that Israel originated when it was transformed from a tribal monarchy into a kingship monarchy. And it based its theory on the fact that Samuel was the one who originated Israel. Are we together? Saka zvakangosiyana pakuti ava vanoti kingship, ava vanoti transformational, kuti ya transformer from tribal monarchy into a kingship monarchy. Domataurira vaneti according to Bishawi in Masur. Then, despite that Israel in a political origins, tinogona kutsvaga ma-religious factors aripo. For instance, tinema issues ekuti sociological theory, it states that the prophets in Israel, prophets in Israel yaka originated pakuti the prophets were called by God in order to bring social order. For example, we can take the issue of Elijah, chapter 17, and chapter 17, 18, where Elijah was being the voice of the voiceless, where he rebuked the king Ahab for taking Naboth's vineyard. Above all, we have got evolutionary theory. Evolutionary theory states that prophets originated whereby prophets were converted to seership. For they say the one who was formerly called a prophet is now called a seer. That's where prophets originated in Israel. Why? Because ndo parikuratidza difference ema issues emu Israel nedzimwe nyika. Then ku cultic origins inoti Prophecy originated with Samuel, for he established Mizpah, for he established Gilgal, Shiloh. And these were worship centers that were established by Samuel as a prophet, where the Israelites could gather and worship their Yahweh. And with the regards of being led by Samuel, Saka, we say prophets originated in Israel through cultic origins, and hence prophets originated by religious forms with regards to Samuel. Ndomanyorerwa aitwa question. Kana wazodawo kuita further part zvako, waigona kuzoti aiwa prophecy despite kuti haasi zvisina basa, warangasiyane nazvo. Prophecy panzi ini tobhesa neapa pakuti chi in Israel yet political, saka takungobhesa nepapolitics totsvaga zvimwe zvisiri chi politics. Ndonhau dzacho idzodzo. Kana mune mubvunzo mobvunza.